Okay, today we're going to talk about the single most powerful engine for professional growth, and that's feedback. It's that loop that can take a good teacher and make them truly great. So let's dive into exactly how you can build it. But first, I want you to think about this for a second. Seriously, beyond the test scores, beyond the report cards, how do you get a real, honest picture of what's landing with your students and what isn't? It's the question that keeps every single dedicated educator up at night, right?
Look, most of us, we try to be reflective practitioners. It's what we're taught to do. We think back on our lessons, we mull over what went well, what could have been better. It's supposed to be the gold standard for getting better at what we do. But there's a big problem baked right into that whole process.
This whole idea goes way back to the philosopher John Dewey. He called it this active, persistent, and careful consideration of what we do, all based on evidence. It sounds great, right? You're being thoughtful, you're being intentional. But what happens when the only evidence you're looking at is your own? And that's the catch. That's the dilemma. We can be the most self-aware, thoughtful educators on the planet, but we just can't see ourselves from the outside. That lesson that felt so dynamic and engaging to you, maybe it was actually kind of confusing for your students. That explanation you thought was crystal clear, it might have missed the mark completely. We all have those blind spots.
And that is where feedback comes in. It is the missing link. It's like having another set of eyes, that external lens that cuts right through our personal biases and shows us what's really happening in our blind spots. It's what you need to truly grow.
So how does this actually work? Well, feedback basically transforms reflection from this solo, isolated activity into something collaborative. It gives you all these different perspectives, which is how you spot those blind spots we were just talking about. And crucially, it helps you connect the dots between what you did and the impact it had on your students. Plus, it builds incredible trust when people see you're open and really committed to improving. Okay, so where do you get this game-changing feedback? Let's think bigger than just the once-a-year formal observation. Let's talk about building a powerful, personal feedback toolkit with 4 key sources you can tap into anytime. First up in the toolkit is a more structured kind of self-assessment. This isn't just thinking in your head, this is using official rubrics and criteria to really measure your own work. Next, and this one's huge, you've got your peers and mentors, the trusted colleagues in the trenches with you. Third, you can zoom out and tap into communities of practice. Think online forums or local meetups where you can get tons of diverse input. And finally, we've got the new frontier, AI and digital tools that can give you instant data-driven feedback. So, that's the toolkit. But what do teachers who are actually on the ground, in the classroom every day, find most helpful? Well, a really fascinating study of over 300 IB PYP teachers actually gives us some incredible insight into this.
Now, what's really interesting here is what rises right to the top. Just look at those bars. Over 90% of teachers said the most helpful things were learning on the job and collaboration with colleagues. Let that sink in. It's not the formal workshops or the one-off training days. It's the everyday practice and the conversations with each other that make the biggest difference. And this quote from a teacher in the study just illustrates that data perfectly. They said, learning is very much a social process. It just nails it, doesn't it? Our development really happens when we're surrounded by other passionate educators, when we can share ideas, debate, and reflect together as part of our daily work. It's all about building that community of practice right where you are.
Okay, so let's go back to our toolkit and talk about that cutting-edge tool. What if you could get that kind of deep, insightful feedback, but instantly, on demand? Well, that's the incredible promise of new AI tools designed for educators. So here's a concrete example of how this might work. A teacher takes a unit planner they've been working on, and they feed it into an AI that's been trained on all the key IB documents. The prompt is super simple. Can you assess this planner against the criteria? And what comes back isn't just some vague opinion. No, it's a structured table that evaluates the planner against specific benchmarks like fostering learner agency, and it gives a clear rating. It's targeted, actionable, and immediate feedback based on the program's own standards.
So here's the bottom line. When you put it all together, the structured self-assessment, the incredible insights from your peers, the wider perspectives from communities, and now the speed and power of AI tools, you have a full, complete toolkit. You don't have to guess about your impact anymore. You have everything you need to see your own practice more clearly than ever before.
So the tools are right there, waiting for you. The question isn't how to get feedback anymore. It's when are you going to start? Who will you ask first? A trusted colleague, that online community you've been following, or maybe you'll put your next unit planner to the test with an AI. The choice is yours. What's your first step going to be?